Hello, hello everyone. Today is Black Friday, but despite that fact, we are still on track and we are still making the MSI weekly meeting. So nothing prevents us to make our regular MSI meeting and share the status of what new was implemented and what the updates we have on the project. So today we will show you. Because today we have pretty thematic demo meeting because the Black Friday is the day when the high availability and the high performance matters. So we'll tell you a little bit more about the performance pitfalls we faced with during this week. Because during this week we made some investigation running the performance acceptance test. Because as you know, we are on the final step of Magento 2.3.0 preparation, and the MSI going to be released the core bundle extension of Magento 2.3.0. And this week we were finalizing all the development, all the regression, and run all the performance acceptance tests. So we actually faced with some degradation. And today we will show you the root cause of this degradation we found. And we'll describe you how to mitigate the issue of this degradation. With the workaround, we recommend the merchant to proceed. While we will be fixing this performance degradation, which would be released in 2.0. So, but let's start from another demonstration. Let's start from the blocker issue, which was found at the beginning of this week. So we found a critical issue on the inventory impact process, and now Slava will make a demonstration that everything works and describe you a little bit more about that issue. So Slava, feel free to share your screen and tell us more about that.
Okay, hello everybody. So let me share my screen, and I will start from this bug what Igor mentioned. It was error 500 during the import with source type of source, and according to this, I will show that this issue is fixed. This fix provided by Ivan Plitnov. So we have I already created simple product. It's assigned to custom test source 1 with quantity 100. What is important because I will do import to update this value. So I go to import. I select stock sources with import behavior add and update. And I choose previously created file to do our import. So I need check data, and it's okay. File is valid, and I do import. As you see here, import successfully done, and I go to check my products on product grid. And the quantity was 100 on test source 1. After import, so the quantity became 50. So imports made properly. this is first issue. Second issue is dedicated to mass section to inventory transfer from. I will show such a case doing mass transfer from default source to custom source. And I previously in configuration, I already said that we will do it asynchronous transfer with message queue. And I implemented performance kit. I small profile. I use small profile to create 1400 products in our system, and they all assign it at the moment to default source. So I will start do this transfer. I select all 1400 items and go to transfer inventory to source. Yes. We do it. Oh, sorry. So I go back to my product grid. Okay. So all our products are assigned to default source. I select them all. Choose transfer inventory to source. And in selection page, we're choosing transfer from source default source to, let it be source 1. And we do unassign from origin source after transfer. And I click inventory transfer. It's a little bit slowly working on my computer at least. And here you see the message that we have created queue for bulk operation inventory transfer. And to start transfer, I will run make cron run. I need to do it twice. So I start the cron, and eventually it takes some time, and I don't think it's necessary to wait till the end. But after updating my page, I think we already will see the first page will be changed. No, it's not yet. We'll wait a little bit more.
You can show the status of the operation. So if you click view details, and you can go to detail page of this particular operation.
It's due. Oh, here it's first line is done. We will have 14. It's 14 items because it's split into 1400 is split in 14 lines for 100 per once. So I think, I believe after refreshing once more, we will see result on first page. It's actually, I said that's 100 products per page. Yeah, here you see. We used to have default source inventory on default source. Now our first 100 products already transferred their inventory to source one, and therefore it's a sellable quantity count on stock one. And eventually, I think after some minutes, all 14 items will be done, and all 1400 products will be transferred, as I already checked today. Boy, I think that's all from me.
Yes, thank you, Slava, for this demonstration. We'll get back to this functionality a little bit later, while we will be talking how to mitigate one of the performance degradation. But currently, just to mention that this functionality of the inventory migration would be handy for merchants. As a quick start, as a quick onboarding process for those merchants who want to start using the multi-source functionality based on their single stock Magento, which they have after up and running Magento. So out of the box, Magento still is a single stock, and actually merchant should add custom sources, custom stocks, and then as a quick onboarding process, they can just make the migration from the default source to the custom sources. And actually, this was demonstrated by Slava, and we will talk a little bit later how this particular operation can boost the performance even for the single stock merchants. So, but now let's talk a little bit more about the performance investigation we've done during this week, and what the performance degradation we investigated. So, what the performance degradation was observed, and Ivan will talk and will make the demonstration of what the issue we currently found, and we'll after that we'll talk a little bit more about the root cause of this issue and how can we fix it. So Ivan, feel free to share your screen and make a presentation of what you identified.
Hello, let me share my screen. So we found issue 1921. It's about performance degradation on catalog page. Yeah, I will show you SQL queries which degrade on category page. Okay. I've loaded pictures from Performance Toolkit with products, and I've enabled the SQL profile for show you all speed query SQL query speed. Let's start with the heaviest request, which decrease performance, and it work 100 times longer, unlike the CE version. On MSI, we have query which perform 100 milliseconds, but on CE version, this query perform 1 millisecond. Next queries, which I will show with MSI run 10 to 20 milliseconds longer, unlike the CE version. Okay, on MSI. On MSI, we can see that queries perform 16 milliseconds, 19 milliseconds, 16 milliseconds. On the CE version, we see that all these queries perform maximum 5 milliseconds. Okay. Also, I want to say that if we transfer all products from default stock to custom stock, page load speed approximately equal to Magento without MSI. Yeah, speed without MSI, speed with MSI, but all products transferred to custom stock. It's all from me.
Thank you, Ivan. So actually, the main root cause for this degradation is that, so let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. And here is the issue we created for this particular ticket, the performance degradation on the catalog page. Actually, the performance degradation is not just on the catalog page, but on the search page, search result page as well, and on the product view page. And actually, currently we experience slight degradation on all the pages where we have the SQL queries involved join on the catalog inventory stock status page, because all the usage of the catalog inventory stock status index was substituted with catalog inventory inventory underscore stock underscore 1. And especially 1, because as you know, we build custom indexes for stocks, and we have these distributed independent indexes for each particular stock. And for custom stocks, these indexes would be represented as independent tables. And for custom stock, they would be like inventory stock 2, stock 3, stock 5, etc. And actually, the number means the stock ID. But for default stock, so for the single stock mode and for merchant who use default stock, so the stock was created in the time at the time of Magento installation. We use inventory stock 1. And taking into account that in the new system, in the new inventory mechanism, we always rely on the product SKU, but not on the product ID. But in a previous version of system, so in the legacy index, we our inventory index contains not product SKU but product ID. So the table catalog inventory stock status does not contain product SKU. It contains the product ID. So to deal with this issue, we created the MySQL view. And for inventory stock 1, we created MySQL view, which is represented as a join of legacy index, so the stock status table with the catalog product entity. And instead of for example, old query where we had just the inner join to the catalog inventory stock status, with a filter by the product ID. Instead of this pretty lightweight query, we are given something like this. We're given inner join to the inventory stock 1, and the inventory stock 1 is actually our MySQL view. But along with that, we're also adding a join to the catalog product entity. So this introduce additional like two joins, which introduce this performance degradation, and especially it matters for search result. In this particular query, where you can see that we have a join with a temporary table like search TMP, which contains the search result for a particular query table, and in this particular case, the performance degradation is pretty big. Here you can see other cases demonstrated by Ivan, and the main difference you can see on a MySQL query explain. So this is default query. This is default query without MSI, where we have just a join to the legacy catalog inventory index, so the catalog inventory stock status. And in this case, we have just a join of 4 different queries, and all these join are done using mostly using the primary index key. But as soon as we have the MySQL view involved, now we have 3 additional joins, because this is actually MySQL view, and MySQL view represented by join of 2 tables. And to keep the contract, we have to join this MySQL view also using the catalog product entity. So this is also additional join. And these 3 joins introduce this degradation. So from what we see now, it is better currently, like current implementation using the MySQL view makes our application code is really agnostic to whether we work with a legacy implementation or with a new implementation. So we can still rely on this contract provided by the stock inventory stock index. But probably this is not acceptable from the performance point of view. So there are actually two workarounds for this issue. So the first workaround is pretty straightforward, and this workaround will fit for merchants who don't have bundle products. Because current state, when we have this MySQL view, is actually intermediate state. So we will use this MySQL view up to the time when all the product would be supported by MSI. So MySQL view is actually also a workaround, because currently not all the product types support the multi-sourcing, and currently the only product type which is not supported is a bundle product. And as soon as we will get the bundle product support, we can drop the MySQL view, and we can create index for the default stock, actually, which will be represented by the single table as any other indexes. But if merchant, for example, now don't use bundle product, we really recommend this merchant to migrate all his products to custom stock. So just to create a custom stock, just to create one custom source, assign it to this custom stock, and migrate all the products from the default source to this custom source. After that, we would not use the MySQL view, and we will use a real index which would be created for this particular stock. Even so that merchant will continue to use the system in a single stock mode, but he will have the custom stock and one and only custom source assigned to the stock, but he will get the performance boost because in this particular setup he wouldn't be using the MySQL view anymore, and instead we will materialize that MySQL view in a real table. And this is what actually was demonstrated by Ivan. These issues and these values for these SQL queries will get the time for these queries processing will decrease again from 10 to 20 milliseconds to 1 or 2 milliseconds, because there would not be 3 joins involved, and the system will use just 1 join in this case. But for now, along with this is a workaround currently merchant can use when Magento 2.3.0 would be released with the first version of MSI. But starting from tomorrow, we will start working on fixing this performance issue, and probably we will as the easiest solution how this issue could be solved, we can introduce conditional logic which will check whether this is a single stock model, and if the default stock if our stock resolver returns the default stock, we can build the same SQL queries which were built before. So we can make a fallback to the previous implementation and would not override SQL queries for the search request with the custom logic, with the MSI related logic. So we can introduce this fallback logic to preserve the previous behavior for default stock mode. So this is supposed to eliminate this degradation and get back to the previous performance numbers we had before. So we will start working on this particular fix. We will check whether, for this special case for the default stock. We did not want to introduce it from the beginning because our idea was the less conditional logic you have in your system, the better your architecture and the better code looks like, and it's much easier to work with the customization, with the pluginization of this logic, because you don't have any condition you need to track some specifically. But looks like from the taking the performance aspects and taking the paying attention on the performance degradation we got for default stock, we will introduce this fallback for the default stock just to eliminate this degradation for default stock. So probably this is all regarding this particular issue. And another issue, so this is also performance issue. Another performance issue was found by Bartek. So Bartek was on fire during this week because he made a pretty cool webinar devoted for release of the first project based on Magento 2.3 plus MSI. So Bartek made a great job on TOS Polska project, and what he identified during this project that we is pretty strange, but for some reasons we don't have the index in inventory source item table. So the inventory source item table currently contains product on sources. So products on a quantity of products on sources. And in this table, we have just index covering stock code, source code and SKU. So this is a composite index, but currently we don't have index starting from the SKU. And you can see that Bartek has a pretty on his project TOS Polska, they have pretty big database with more than 2 million records storing in the table. And for example, such query where they have just filtering by SKU. The table scan is involved, and actually the database adapter should make a table scan to find a particular record. And this type of queries are executed when not on the front end but on the back end, when admin goes to the admin page, to the product editing page. And at this time, we are retrieving all the source items, filtering by particular SKU. But my proposition here to Bartek was that so initial Bartek idea was to create a dedicated index for SKU only. But my idea here was that we need to introduce covering index and introduce an index which will cover SKU, then source code, and then quantity. In this case, all these three fields would be covered by index, and the database adapter will use this so-called covering index and retrieve all the fields and all the records from the RAM, from the fast memory, read-only memory, and no need to make a disk access. Because if you create the index covering just SKU field, we'll retrieve all the SKUs, and to retrieve the data, so the source codes and quantity, database adapter should proceed with the disk access, and this still could be quite slow if the source code allocated on a different areas of the disk. Yeah, so this is pretty interesting case, and this fix. So this covering index supposed to improve the performance of product editing page in the admin panel. So these were two issues identified during this week, and we will try to provide fixes for these issues in the nearest future. And I hope they will be demonstrated maybe on the next demo meeting, or maybe in 2 weeks, because these performance issues are pretty crucial for us. So we will try to make our best to fix them as soon as possible. And also, I have a small announcement for you that Ricardo finalized the development of distance-based algorithm. So the distance-based algorithm is completed, and now this algorithm in this pull request. And Ricardo finished it actually just recently, like 17 hours ago. He really wanted to make a demonstration today, but we agreed that he will make this final demonstration next week. And this is really cool demonstration, because Ricardo introduced support of the Google geocoding. Along with that, he introduced the possibility for the fallback to the offline geocoding, introducing the database of zip codes. And now if the Google is not available, or if the Google API is not specified, the system will proceed with a fallback to the pre-specified database of the zip codes. That will make the whole computation is not so accurate as Google does, but still it will show that the system is mature, and even without the connection to the Google services, can proceed with the results of the distance-based algorithm. So this is a small announcement for the next week, and probably this is all for today. If there are any questions from you regarding the performance, regarding the MySQL view, or anything else, you can ask this question now, or you can drop the question into the MSI Slack channel, and we will also will definitely answer them as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your attention today, and have a great Black Friday and happy Thanksgiving Day. And thank you that you spent this time on this really rush day today with us. And hope to see you in a week on the next MSI demo meeting. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.